Whatever she said, then I'm mad. If this here rocks to y'all, then you mad. Whatever she said, then I'm mad. If this here rocks to y'all, then you mad.
Hey, what up, G team? It is Major G. I know I keep saying I'm not going to do another reaction, but the brand new... God, I can't believe they'd say this. So, I am a huge fan of Static. I love Static. I think Static is one of the best... No, sorry. He's my personal favorite superhero right under Captain It of all time. So when CW was talking about making all these new shows and everything, one of the first ones that came to mind for me was Static. I would love to have a live action Static series. It sounded like there were some talks about it, either a TV series or a movie, and we haven't heard anything since. Instead, we've now got a trailer for Black Lightning. Black Lightning is a DC superhero. I want to say he's from the 70s, from that era of blaxploitation and whatnot, along with like Luke Cage and whatnot. So, Black Lightning's power is that he's basically a black dude who can shoot lightning from his hands. Like, he can control electricity. Now, this is going to be the first time he's been a main thing in anything. Like, he's only ever really been a cameo character. He shows up in, I want to say the first time he showed up was maybe in, no, Super Friends would have been before his time. The first time I think he showed up was in, which came first? Was it, I want to say, no. Static Shock came first. I want to say Static Shock came first. And I believe he has a small cameo in Static, was he in Static Shock? Because Static Shock had crossovers with Static Shock, the Static comic series, even though it's from Milestone, which was a little known DC comic series, a DC comic brand, and had its own universe. Despite the fact that it was its own universe, Static, who is like the most famous of all the Milestone heroes, when he got his animated show, he would have crossovers with the DCAU. So, like, I remember Batman and Robin showed up, John Stewart Green Lantern showed up, and I want to say Black Lightning showed up at one point. But I think Black Lightning might have been in Justice League. Maybe he was in Justice League. But, like, he was in the background. And I think that was... And then, he shows up in... What was the name of that show? Young Justice. So that's basically it. We've got Black Lightning in, like, as a cameo character in both Justice League and Young Justice. Hasn't really showed up in anything else, and they give him his own series. So, I'm a little bit worried about this. I wish they had gone with a more popular character like Static. Static is a more popular character than... Black Lightning may have slightly bigger name, but I think Static has the bigger fan base. Because Black Lightning, once again, Black Lightning has been around for a longer time, but only, like, true core comic fans really know who he is. So this, I don't know what they're doing, but, CW with their new Arrow and Flash, the Flaroverse, or Arrowverse, Flashverse, whatever, like, they've been pulling out a bunch of like littler known people. So I mean, of course, we start off with Green Arrow, and then we got well, Flash is a bigger known guy, of course, but then we got Supergirl instead of Superman. So and then like in Arrow, you get all these littler known people: Captain Boomerang, Huntress. Who else showed up? Who else showed up though? Felicity Smoke. Freaking Felicity Smoke is like somebody who is like deep in the corner of like the DC multiverse. Who else was in Arrow that showed up? Deathstroke was probably like the biggest name they had. Spartan. They made John Diggle Spartan, and Spartan apparently is an actual DC hero. Who else? Vibe. Friggin' Cisco Ramon. Like they pulled him out from who I think he was a Teen Titan for a short time or something. Killer Frost was also a side character. She was a side villain. So yeah, like they're just pulling out all these people from the corners of the DC verse. So maybe they might hit this off with Black Lightning. We'll have to see. Probably part of it was that part of the reason also was that at least with a Black Lightning series, you wouldn't have to worry about like how to budget him or even more special effects, because Static uses his powers in more creative ways, if I remember correctly. For example, Static can fly, but he uses a trash can lid, or he uses either a disc or a trash can lid, depending on where you are in the comics, to fly around. So, I mean, that might have been just a budget thing as well, because they have Supergirl with the whole flying thing. And also with the whole CW stuff, they've been merging a bunch of characters. For example, once again, you've got the whole thing with Arrow. Arrow's basically been like a Batman story from the beginning. Like they've basically just been doing Batman, and then Supergirl. The whole Supergirl thing is basically retelling Superman. Yeah, they have Superman in it, but like a lot of like Supergirl. I think I've mentioned this in one of my review. I think in my review of the first season, I think I mentioned that the Supergirl series is closer to like what Superman is like in the comics, with like her attitude, where she works, her lifestyle, all that stuff. Like she's basically an XB for Clark Kent Superman, and Oliver Queen Green Arrow and/or the Hood is basically an XB for Batman. Well, early on, the earlier seasons were basically XBs for Batman. So yeah, they might end up merging his character with Static, or and giving him like some of Static's abilities and some of Static's villains, and basically making him to be a Static character. Or they might have Static show up as like kind of like a Wally West or whatever, and just have them be a team of crime fighters or whatever. But my roommate saw it yesterday and he was pumped. So I'm curious about it. I don't think I've seen any reactions for this yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and get on with this. Alright. Alrighty, here we go. Black Lightning. First look trailer for the CW. Here we go.
Black Lightning was the savior who kept our streets and our schools safe. He was hope personified. But he was also Jefferson Pierce, my father.
Wait, what?
Take me to the edge of what can break me.
You've been on the streets fighting the 100 for years. But
I've seen this story before, dude.
Save a father.
Baby, I promise. No more.
From the clutches of my heart that will forsake me.
You two are all me and your mother have. I love you both.
He tried to keep his promise to my mother. Said that he saved more lives.
Is that
as
Kyla
a principal
Pratt?
at Garfield High than he ever did as Black Lightning. But without Black Lightning, violence in the streets by the 100 gang multiplied.
Our children are dying in these streets.
That is. Wait, is that? I think that is. I think that's Kyla
Just on the
Pratt.
surface for all of us, the whole city was ready to explode. He could only bury who he really was for so long.
Yo.
The city is getting more and more dangerous every moment. I'm just trying to keep you safe.
Excuse me? I'm not afraid of the 100.
Yes, you should be. Yeah, I've seen this exact story. What is with that suit? What? What?
Now you just pissed me off.
Wait, what? Whoa, whoa, what was with her eyes? Yo!
If you mess with me, my sister, my mother, or the innocent in this city, you're gonna get lit up.
Sent your car?
Yeah.
It was nice.
Hashtag Black Lightning's back.
Sometimes I can come off a little overprotective.
Yes, you.
Is that Jitters? Is that Jitters? Does he live in Central City? Okay. You know, I'm not... Okay, so... When I said I've seen this story before, this is literally the exact plot, and the trailer looks almost exactly shot for shot like a fan trailer for Static. There's some dude made a fan trailer for Static that looks exactly like that, and it was a really good fan trailer too. Where like Static was, he had been Static when he was younger, and then he gave it up, and like 10 years down the line, some neighborhood punks are roughing up the neighborhood, and so and like some student accidentally finds out that he's Static, or he was Static, and tries to talk him into becoming a hero again. So that's what this actually looks a lot like. Like, that trailer looks like almost shot for shot, exactly like this Static fan trailer that I saw like last year or 2 years ago or something like that. And it was actually a really good trailer, very good trailer. The whole thing with the daughters is new though. That's yeah, so I really don't know how I feel about this, to be honest. Part of it maybe because I'm disappointed that it's Black Lightning instead of Static, because I'm a Static fanboy, and I'm admitting that I'm a Static fanboy, as opposed to Black Lightning. I'm a little bit confused about some things, like So his eyes were glowing, so I'm assuming he is a metahuman, because Black Lightning is supposed to be a metahuman. But he had a suit that, like, maybe the suit was just, I don't know, the suit... I just feel like Static has better powers. I'm sorry. For all the Black Lightning fans out there, I just feel like Static's cooler, he's younger, he's got better powers, he can use them more creatively. And overall, I just feel like Static would be a better series than Black Lightning. So yeah, that's that's basically what you're gonna get out of this, is me griping about how this should actually be a Static series and not a Black Lightning series. So I'm gonna, because like Static has created uses his powers. Static is basically controls electromagnetic energy. That's his power. He's not just it's easy to think that he just controls electricity. He doesn't. He has he can control electromagnetic forces, most of which comes across as lightning bolts. So he's very creative in his powers. He's made a force field, which he covers himself with a force field like all the time. He uses a trash can lid or a disc. Later on in the comic series, he uses a disc that he made himself. And he uses his powers to charge up the disc and control the disc, which allows him to fly. He can stick to walls. He is resistant to telepathic. Oh shoot! I can't think of the word. He's resistant to being controlled telepathically. He can amp up his physical abilities. That's what it was. He can amp up his physical abilities. Using his electricity. He can absorb electricity. From what it looked like the suit was doing most of the work in this for Black Lightning. So like Static can actually do that himself. He can absorb electricity. He can create EMPs, like just all sorts of crazy stuff. So honestly, yeah, I wish it was a Static series and not a Black Lightning series, because I think Black Lightning is not as interesting a character as Static. But then again, I'll freely admit I don't know as much about Black Lightning as I do Static. So, yeah. It is interesting that he apparently has a couple of daughters who are going to be, at least one of which is going to be a metahuman. So that'll be interesting. I would like to see how that comes across. His daughters are in high school, which once again may allow for a Static character to pop up. Sorry, I just want to see Static in live action. I've seen a couple of really cool fan trailers. This one in particular that I keep saying, I said that this trailer looks shot for shot for, was probably the best Static trailer I ever saw. But yeah, so I will watch it because I'm curious. I'm not going to completely shut it down, but I will watch it. I would like to know if it takes place in the Arrowverse or Flareverse, whatever. I don't know if it's I can't tell if this is going to be within the same universe. We've already had we do know that some other heroes do live within the Flareverse. For example, there's most likely a Batman, as was evidenced by Oliver in one of the since Oliver said that there's an Oracle, because when he was giving Felicity the name Overwatch, he said he would have said Oracle, but Oracle was taken. Oracle works with Batman, or Oracle was Batgirl, who got injured by the Joker and works indirectly for Batman. So there is and there was a thing in Flash. Yeah, the newspaper in Flash says something about Wayne Tech merging with something else. So there is a Batman. There's most likely a Batman. We saw Harley Quinn in Arrow, so there is a Batman. We've seen Supergirl and Superman, even though they don't exist in the same universe. They're there. There is a Green Lantern. Hal Jordan disappeared, and then apparently he reappeared at some point. So there is a Green Lantern. Who else? Yeah, so, yeah. So, I'll just wait and see how things go. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, share. So, once again, this has been Major G, your Pop Culture Sinning. And until next time, I will see you guys later.